talking to us about the value of human figure drawings in the detection of learning difficulties. In 2015, Clarice won the Scifest Africa Prize for Science Communication at the 2015 Eskom Expo for Young Scientists at the International Science Fair. Today the presentation will look at her research that investigated how human figure drawings can assist grade R educators in detection of learning difficulties of their learners. In this lecture, she will look at how she got to do her project from the inception to the end, and we look forward to hearing from her. Thanks, Clarice.
Thank you for the introduction. Hi, everyone. Today I want to speak to you about something that I'm very, very passionate about, the education in South Africa. And we all know that there's a problem, and it's very easy to blame the government, but the blaming game won't help anything. So I'd like to begin with my story. From a young age, I always wanted to make a difference in the world, whether it be with children or with people. And I think it started in 2003, when my mom started a school for disabled children in our living room, which now has grown to a big school with 300 learners. I do a lot of volunteer work and outreach programs to Soshanguve and Atteridgeville with my mom to help those kids and help those teachers to learn more about the different spectrum of autism. I have spent a lot of time learning about children with autism, and they've taught me so much. They've taught me to be passionate about what I do. They've taught me perseverance, and they've also taught me to never ever give up. Before I want to start with my formal presentation, I would like to tell you a story that I actually heard yesterday about a group of frogs that decided to climb up the side of a building. They went to this big building, and it was actually a very big challenge. And all of them they climbed and climbed, but they fell to the bottom again. And eventually all of them gave up, except one of them. This one little frog kept climbing and falling and climbing and falling. And one day he eventually reached the top. And the other frogs were shouting at him and telling him that he could never do it, and he should rather give up. And when he got to the top, I'm just going to wait for them to enter. I think I'm going to start the story again. Yesterday I heard a story about a group of frogs that attempted to climb up the side of a building. And all of them went to this building, but it wasn't an easy task. And all of them attempted to climb, and they climbed and fell and climbed and fell. And then all of them just gave up because it was too hard, except one little frog. That little frog kept trying and trying and trying, and the other frogs made fun of him, laughed at him, pointed at him, told him to just give up. And then one day, that little frog reached the top. And they asked him now, but how did you do it? Through all the negativity, how did you still do it? And it turns out that this little frog was deaf, and he thought the other frogs were clapping for him, saying, well done, go, go, go. So he thought they were encouraging him to climb, but actually they were being mean. And I think this is very important in today's society, that people are going to tell you that you won't be able to do certain things and tell you that you aren't good enough to do certain things. But I think that we should all rise above and be like that little frog and be deaf to those kind of criticism. I became very despondent at a very, very early age in my Expo project because people told me that, how am I going to make a difference through this? If I want to be something, if I want to be remembered, I have to do a project about mathematics, chemistry, physics, or microbiology. And I won't lie to you that I did question my research and did question if it was good enough. But then I came to the realization that this is my passion. This is what I want to do. This is a story I want to tell. This is something I'm very passionate about, the education of South Africa. So I went forward. Let's see what's happening in South Africa. Next year, 80 million of South Africa's population of approximately 53 million will be under the age of 18. There are 26,000 schools for 12.2 million school-going children in South Africa. And of this 12.2, 280,000 of them don't get the education they need due to different reasons. So I just want to put this in perspective. This is the Georgia Dome, and it can take 26,000 people. So we will be able to fill this dome up 4 times with only the kids in South Africa that aren't getting the education that they need. Okay, and the most shocking is that 50% of our country's youth drop out of school before they reach matric. We can see that from 2010 to 2014, there has been an increase, and that's what I want to make. I want to make a difference and try to lower that rate. So this is an international concern, and that's what I realized, that it's not only in South Africa that we have this problem. We can see in the Syrian refugee crisis that there is war, and all of these children can't go to school, maybe because it's unsafe and other various reasons. We can see poverty in Africa. We know that Africa is struggling a lot, whether it is drought or no food, no water, but there's definitely no education. And another shocking statistic, that 120,000 of these children that aren't going to schools are children soldiers. So there's 120,000 kids that are going to war instead of getting the education that they need. The destructions of schools. We can see that the Taliban has been a big problem all around the world, breaking down schools, bombing buildings, because they believe that girls aren't allowed to get education, and those people make me so angry. I did a project to the 2015 Eskom Expo for Young Scientists, where I want to raise awareness of this problem. Because all of us know there's a problem in South Africa. We all know that education is a problem, but no one's doing anything about it. So my background is I used the human figure drawings to identify problems. The value of human figure drawings have been researched for more than 100 years, and it is used by professionals like occupational therapists, psychologists, but also teachers. The Good Enough Harris drawing test is used internationally to test the development of cognitive, emotional, and social skills in a non-projective and a projective way. Detecting difficulties children might experience early could make all the difference in a child's academic future, as well as finding his place and her place in the world. I did 2 studies. The first study was the human figure drawings of grade R learners. I wanted to know, is there a difference between the high socioeconomic environment children that drew or the low socioeconomic children? The hypothesis I've created is that there will be a significant difference in the average score, the size, and also the detail in the pictures. The method I used. I went to 4 schools in Pretoria, 2 from a high socioeconomic environment and 2 from a low socioeconomic environment, and asked each of them to draw a picture of themselves. So it resulted in 200 pictures, after which you're welcome to come look at the different folders I have in the different pictures. They were giving specific instructions to only draw a picture of themselves, don't turn the page, and don't draw extra stuff like flowers or the sun, only a picture of themselves. Each of these pictures was scored by using the Good Enough Harris drawing test, and average score was calculated, and the detail and size were also observed. Now, this is the typical drawings of a 5 to 6-year-old. We can see there's a lot of shapes of squares and triangles. This is how the picture should look. And this is a picture of a 4-year-old's picture. You can see there's similarities, so it's a universal that the pictures might look, there is stuff that looks the same. So here we can see they use a lot of circles. It makes me sad that if you ask your class of 30 pupils to draw a picture, and you can see that 28 of these kids' pictures look the same, there's similarities, and 2 of them look significantly worse, how can the teachers not know that something's wrong? And that is what I wanted to do with my second part of my study, which I'm going to get to now. This is how I marked the pictures. This was a very, very emotional part, where I went to township schools, and the kids, it's one of the most poorest schools in South Africa, where the kids would draw themselves with brand clothing like Nike shoes or Adidas tops. And that was very emotional, because none of those kids will ever be able to afford those things if they don't get the education that they need. So let's say if a Lowe's looked like this, it would have gotten a mark. But if it looked like this, it wouldn't have. The average score we collected was a 19 out of 72, is what the average score of a 5-year-old should look like. The first study result is that the low socioeconomic environment scored a 3% lower average. which doesn't seem a lot, but for only using 2 schools, it has a big impact. We can see that 80% of the high socioeconomic environment drew hands, but only 45% of the low. We can see that 86% of the high socioeconomic environment drew legs, but only 32 of the others. And the size of the pictures, we wanted to see how big the picture was. So 2/3 is more than half. We wanted to see how big they drew it. And 84% of them drew the picture big, but only 28% of the low socioeconomic environment drew the picture big. And this also raised a few other questions that why are they drawing so small? And I came to the conclusion that that's what they think of themselves. That is how they see themselves. They don't see themselves as worthy. They don't see themselves as someone big because they don't grow up in a place where they are worthy. They don't feel worthy there. So my hypothesis was fully supported, and the pre-study indicated that grade R learners from a low socioeconomic background obtained a lower average score on this test, drew significantly less detail, and the drawings were significantly smaller when compared to the children from a high socioeconomic background. And this raised a few other questions that the kids from the low socioeconomic environment, do they have the same chance in life when it comes to academical prestige? Does the size and the detail matter, and can it have a direct correlation to one's social and emotional problems? And could the drawings help teachers to identify the early problems? Even if a grade R teacher doesn't know about, let's say, ADD or ADHD or learning difficulties like dyslexia, they should know how a 5-year-old's picture should look. They should know if the child needs a bit more, but has to sit in front of the class or needs a bit more help. Teachers should at least be equipped to know that these two children the two children that pictures look different, require some more attention, should sit in the front row, should be referred to a clinic, an occupational therapist, a social worker, or should at least get one more hug a day. What is significant is that they can't know unless nobody tells them. The questions that I sparked later was, do they know that children's drawings might be a valuable tool to detect difficulties? If we teach them that drawings are valuable, would even a bit of a training help? Could the scoring procedure of the Good Enough Harris drawing test be taught as a basic tool, even though scoring won't be perfect? Because if you don't have a lot of training, some people differ. Because if you think the kid has to get a point for its nose, then they're going to give him a point for its nose. Or if they mark it very badly, very strictly, then they can say, okay, but this kid has a problem, and they might not have one. Would the new knowledge help them to become better teachers? Would they be able to identify a child who might experience difficulties? And if they detect possible problems, would they know what to do after the training? So this was my second part of my research, that I went to the schools from the low socioeconomic environment, because they asked me, please come back, we want to learn, we want to know more. And I think that a lot of teachers, I don't think a lot of us know that teachers are very willing to learn, and teachers want to make a difference. So I went back to the schools, and I gave all of them a questionnaire to fill in, and we also marked one of the pictures. So I gave them beforehand, before they had any training, I gave them a picture to score and asked them a few questions like, do they know about the test? What would you do if in your class you have a child that is struggling or have learning disabilities? And I'll later show you the results of that. But I gave them 1 hour training on the human figure drawings and the material that comes with it. Phase 2 is I went back after a week, and the questionnaires were completed again, which added questions about experience as well. I let them mark another score, and let them score another picture, and the teachers will ask questions about the experience, especially about how they would make a difference in the classroom. The result is, no matter what you think, that teachers, the 100% of the teachers showed significantly more skill and knowledge about it. Before the training, this was the teacher scores. 3 of them had the picture scored correctly. 2 of them had within 2 points. 2 of them had within 4 points, and 2 of them had within 7 points, which isn't a very good indication. It explains that they didn't have a lot of knowledge. And afterwards, 6 had correct. 2 of them had within 2 marks, and 3 had within 3 points. So they showed that they had more knowledge about it. This was the open-ended questions I asked them. What would it mean if a child does not draw arms and hands? We can see here that a lot of them says, I don't know, the child is not loved, bad motor skills. So you see a lot of them don't have a great idea. But afterwards, we could see that they had a clear indication the child is guilty and anxious, he's unsure of his feelings, the child is unsure, feeling guilty. They had an idea. So here's just more questions but the basic thing that I want to say is that they didn't know what the knowledge was beforehand, and then afterwards they did. Oh yeah, I asked them, why would they like more training? Why would they want to learn more? And they saw, and I said, because I want to know, I want to help children, and therefore the help they need with professional people in the different areas. It will be good because I need help with the struggling people, I want to help them. Because a lot of them want to make a difference, but they're not always qualified to make a difference, and they don't always know how to. So I want to be there to encourage these teachers to make a difference in South Africa's education. The result is, before training, only 1 grade art teacher had some knowledge about the value of human figure drawings as a tool for early detection of difficulties children might experience. The same teacher had the knowledge about the use and scoring. None of the teachers didn't have any knowledge about the value of human figure drawings as a tool for early detection. But after the basic training, all 10 grade art teachers' knowledge of the value of human figure drawings and affecting scoring of drawings significantly increased. I came to the conclusion that grade art teachers could greatly benefit from the basic training and value of human figure drawings. These teachers could be empowered to early detection difficulties children might experience in order to quickly act on these difficulties by referring children to a suitable professional. Children, especially those from a low socioeconomic environment, have a better chance of reaching their full potential by implementing early intervention strategies after early detection of possible difficulties. My limitations of my study was that afterwards I didn't test a lot of teachers. I didn't help a lot of teachers as I would have wanted to. But if I could go on with my projects, which I definitely will, I want to tour South Africa to all the low socioeconomic schools and make a difference at each one of them. Even if I can't go to all of them, even one kid can make a difference. If I help one teacher and her class, that can make a difference. Schools are at a disadvantage because in Pretoria, the kids in Pretoria might have a lot of different disadvantaged schools in the Northern Cape. So the results might be different if I go to 2 different parts of South Africa. My further research is that I want to go train more teachers of how to use this. I would like to travel South Africa visiting as many schools as possible to train their grade art teachers. And the potential of early intervention programs for grade R learners, especially the Kids for Kids project, developed by Pathways Pretoria, a Centre for Learning with Disabilities, which I've been a part of for a couple of years. So this is the Kids for Kids project. I'm very excited about this project. That it is used. It's a box full of educational toys made of all of recyclable materials, where, because the government says there's not enough funding to build new schools, there's not enough funding to put more teachers in the schools, because a lot of these schools in the townships, it's not qualified teachers, it's only like aunties that say, okay, well, let's just get these kids off the streets. So I started this box. It costs me 120 Rand, but I don't pay for anything inside except for the box and the manual that's been printed to explain to the teachers how to do these exercises. There are a few different boxes. There's a literacy box, a Toys for Toys box, a Toys for Joy box, a Babies for Joy box. So there's different simulation for different ages. So you can see here that this is all recyclable materials. This is a wheel. And I took little bottle caps and made a roller. We can make noises, so you can see that. Afterwards, you're welcome to come look inside. There's a lot of different toys, magnets, cars built out of blocks that I cut up, counting games, ropes for texture. So there's a lot of different toys in it. And this is one of the big things that I want to do in South Africa. I want to get big businesses, but also individuals involved in this project to become part of my army to change the world. Because even if they don't want to give financial funding, it can also, if you can only go speak to people about it and say, listen here, this is this project, then we can make a difference. So the next thing I want to speak about is that this is a problem in South Africa, and it's not enough to just look at the demographics and say it's the government's fault, it's the government's fault. I believe that we should not ask for change, we should rather be the change. Therefore, I'm standing here today with a mission in mind, to ensure that every child in South Africa gets the equal opportunity to reach the education they need and they deserve. If I can extend this mission to the whole world, where 48.5 million kids aren't going to school, because let's say in Somalia, where only 24% of the girls are allowed to go to school because of the Taliban and their culture that says that the girls aren't allowed to go to schools. I wanted again that if we know children are at a disadvantage, in disadvantaged communities might have more cognitive, emotional, and social difficulties as their same-age peers, and we know that even a little training would help, why aren't we doing anything? Why on earth are we not investing more money into early childhood intervention? We can see that the government is putting a lot of funding into grade 11 and 12 mathematics and science because they think that's where it matters. They think, okay, let's just get the kids through matric and grade 11 so they can go to university. But I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that. I'm just saying that the money should be spent more wisely, investing in the early foundation building blocks. Only then we will see a lower school dropout rate. Because they think that grade 11 and 12, that's what makes you smart. If you get through matric and 11 and 12, you will be able to communicate with the world. You will be able to make yourself a living. If they only knew that if your foundation isn't there, if you don't have the foundation and building blocks, the stimulation from a young age that you need, you will never, ever, ever be able to reach your full academic potential. In South Africa, all around the world, there are heroes. But the heroes don't need to be famous people like actors, politicians, successful athletes, or millionaires on talk shows. I believe the heroes can be you and me. A quality education for all is something I strongly believe in, and I want to make a difference, even though I'm only 16 years old. I want to be that girl that everyone else looks up to, a teenager who inspires others. And even when the older one says that our world's going backwards and we don't have a future, I want them to change that. My hero would definitely be Malala. She's a child and women activist. We should all look up to her and learn. If she can, then so can we. She's an innovative advocate for education, women's rights, and equality. Her desire for universal education and optimistic worldview, despite her struggles, is something that we all can look up to. Her extraordinary accomplishments makes it easy to forget that Malala, before getting shot in the head by the Taliban, was only a girl with a dream. I say again, if she can, then so can we. We can also be fearless. We can also be leaders by standing for a movement for our own children in our world. This is Malala's famous words, what she said when she was receiving her award for Nobel Prize. So here I stand, a girl among many. I speak not for myself, but for all girls and boys. I raise my voice, not so that I can shout, but so that others without a voice can be heard. Those who have fought for their rights, the right to live in peace, the right to be treated with dignity, the right to equality and opportunity, the right to be educated. The other dreams I have include sitting down with the Minister of Education and telling her what I would like to share my vision with her and what I have in store for the future, how we can work together to make the education in South Africa better. Then I'll ask hundreds and hundreds of business men and women to invest in my project, Kids for Kids, so that I can make a difference. My next research? I don't know yet. Maybe the Kids for Kids project. Maybe something in autism that has increased with 600% within the last 10 years. But definitely not something in science, chemistry, or microbiology. I've met with the delegates from the Ernie Els Foundation, whom I am going to be doing a project with in 2016 to raise awareness about autism and also discovering the different spectrums of autism and making people aware. One of my biggest dreams at the moment is becoming a youth delegate leader to represent South Africa all around the world, and so become an activist for children and education, educational activist, and fight for the education of the world, and not even only in South Africa. Eskom Expo for Young Scientists. This is an opportunity for just another girl's voice to be heard. It teaches you not to stop identifying a problem and never to give up. I have stayed up hours and hours with Eskom Expo, where you try something new, but then it fails and you have to start all over again. And you start all over again. And when you come from the regionals to the internationals, you have to do a whole new project. And it's a lot of hard work, but it teaches you to who you are. It teaches you who you want to become afterwards. You can change the world by doing a little research. You don't have to do a project about microbiology or science. Even people that told me I have a stupid person expo because it's about children and anyone can do it. And that's exactly what I want to say to you today. That anyone can do a project like me if you have a heart. It has taught me to believe in myself and to be creative, and that hard work and dedication pays off. A thing that I say a lot is that to make a difference, you don't need to be smart, you just need to have a heart. And I would like to end off with a video that has inspired me in a lot of different places in my life, where every time I look at this, I want to make a difference in the world, because reality is harsh, and a lot of people know that the world is going backwards, and not a lot of people are doing anything about it. So I hope this video inspires you as much as it did me. And then yeah.
The world is coming to an end. The air is polluted, the ocean's contaminated. The animals are going extinct, the economy's collapsed. Education is shot, police are corrupt. Intelligence is shunned and ignorance rewarded. The people are depressed and angry. We can't live with each other and we can't live with ourselves, so everyone's medicated. We pass each other on the streets, and if we do speak, it's meaningless robotic communication. More people want 15 seconds of fame than a lifetime of meaning and purpose, because what's popular is more important than what's right. Ratings are more important than the truth. Our government builds twice as many prisons and schools. It's easier to find a Big Mac than an apple. And when you find the apple, it's been genetically processed and modified. Presidents lie, politicians trick us. Race is still an issue, and so is religion. Your God doesn't exist. My God does, and He is all-loving. If you disagree with me, I'll kill you, or even worse, argue you to death. 92% of songs on the radio are about sex. Kids don't play tag, they play twerk videos. The average person watches 5 hours of television a day, and it's more violence on the screen than ever before. Technology has given us everything we could ever want, and at the same time stolen everything we really need. Pride is at an all-time high, humility an all-time low. Everybody knows everything, everybody's going somewhere, ignoring someone, blaming somebody. Not many human beings left anymore, a lot of human doings, plenty of human lingerings in the past, not many human beings. Money is still the root of all evil, yet we tell our kids, don't get that degree, the jobs don't pay enough. Good deeds are only done when there's a profit margin. Videos of the misfortunes of others go viral. We laugh and share them with our friends to laugh with us. Our role models today, 60 years ago, would have been examples of what not to be. There are states where people can legally be discriminated against because they were born a certain way. Companies invest millions of dollars hiring specialists must keep up, you must fit in. This will make you happy, but it never does for long. So what can we do in the face of all this madness and chaos? What is the solution? We can love. Not the love you hear in your favorite song on the radio. I mean real love, true love, boundless love. You can love each other from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed. Perform an act of kindness because that is contagious. We can be mindful during every interaction, planting seeds of goodness, showing a little more compassion than usual. We can forgive because 300 years from now, will that grudge you hold against your friend, your mother, your father have been worth it? Instead of trying to change others, we can change ourselves, we can change our hearts. We've been sold lies, brainwashed by our leaders and those we trust, and not recognize our brothers and sisters, and to exhibit anger, hatred, and cruelty. But once we truly love, we will meet anger with sympathy, hatred with compassion, cruelty with kindness. Love is the most powerful weapon on the face of the earth. Robert Kennedy once said that few will have the greatness to be in history, but each of us can work to change a small portion of events, and in the total of all those acts will be written the history of a generation. So yes, the world is coming to an end, and the path towards a new beginning starts within you.
So what you must remember that you don't need to be a scientist to change the world. Even giving someone a hug one day can change their world. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Clarice. That was very good. Does anyone have any questions?
Hi.
That was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so
It
much.
was very insightful, and I'm sure it's going to help a lot of teachers out there. I just wanted to ask, maybe myself missed it in the beginning, about the pictures that the kids drew. During your research, did you perhaps get time to ask, or did you ask the smaller kids why they drew themselves without arms and legs?
I think I've learned that you should never ask a child what it is and why it happens, but there's a little book here that I unfortunately didn't bring today, which tells you why the kids don't draw arms and legs. So let's say maybe if a child doesn't draw arms, it can mean that he's abused at home. It can mean that he doesn't use his arms a lot. It can mean if he draws big hands, it can mean he's doing a lot of work at home. So there's a lot of different elements, and because we ask the children to draw the pictures because sometimes they can't communicate it and they can't write it because they're not old enough. So we can't ask them because I think sometimes they don't know either. Sometimes they say they forgot to draw it, but it has an emotional and psychological inside somewhere. It's a problem.
Any other questions? Everyone happy? Thank you very, very much.
Oh, boy,
Clarice.
thank you. Thank you.